I want to follow up on the media lies and propaganda when it comes to Gaza, Hamas and Israel that I focused on here last night. You'll remember the White House spokesperson Caroline Levitt called out the BBC.
We don't take the word of Hamas with total truth. We like to look into it when they speak, unlike the BBC, who had multiple headlines. They wrote, Israeli tank kills 26, Israeli tank kills 21, Israeli gunfire kills 31, Red Cross says 21 people were killed in an aid incident, and then, oh wait, they had to correct and take down their entire story, saying we reviewed the footage and couldn't find any evidence of anything.
OK, pretty self-explanatory, and I think it's great that she called them out. Our government should do the same instead of amplifying wild claims from Hamas. But the BBC's so-called fact-checker, a bloke called Ross Atkins, has hit back. Now, I've shown you some of his work before, where he attacked me for not adopting climate alarmist claims about our bushfires a couple of years ago. Like everyone on the Green Left, Atkins' climate alarmism is an article of faith, not facts. Anyway, he tried to fight back on behalf of the BBC over the Gaza coverage today.
This contains a mix of misrepresentations and untruths. When speaking, Caroline Levitt held up a printout. It showed a post on X by a student activist. Its focus, and hers, was the BBC's coverage on Sunday. Residents had reported Israeli fire near an aid centre. Over the course of the day, the BBC repeatedly updated its coverage, as is standard on a breaking news story. Updated claims on fatalities were all clearly attributed to a number of sources in Gaza, including the Red Cross, which is an independent organisation.
You've got to love the way Atkins focuses on the Red Cross, because most of the BBC reports cited the Gaza Health Ministry or local medics or local rescuers, even local residents. In other words, the BBC cited sources who were either direct Hamas operatives, controlled by Hamas, or living under the threat of Hamas. Indeed, even the Red Cross could fall under this category in Gaza. Anyway, after that pathetic defence, Atkins said the White House was wrong because no BBC stories had been taken down, and the video evidence that had been debunked was not filmed by the BBC but came from social media. Then he teed off.
Having made this range of false claims, Caroline Levitt had a further point to make.
We're going to look into reports before we confirm them from this podium or before we take action, and I suggest that journalists who actually care about truth do the same to reduce the amount of misinformation that's going around the globe on this front.
But in this case, either the White House didn't look into its claims about the BBC before bringing them to the podium, or had no concern that they weren't true.
Now, you've got to laugh at this bloke getting up on his high horse, don't you? And not because we don't want good, vigorous debate about what is fact and what is not. Let's ensure that people verify their facts. But the obvious point is this. The BBC has just then shown more scepticism and gone to more trouble forensically examining the facts in an attempt to defend itself against the White House than it ever does when it should be testing horrific claims of slaughter and war crimes made by Hamas terrorists against Israel. Now, whatever Hamas says is merely regurgitated. It's only what the White House says that is tested by the BBC. It says it all, really. And I've noticed this social media post that neatly sums up how Hamas operates and how Western media either willingly or with inexcusable gullibility allows them to get away with it.
Welcome to Hamas Math. If Hamas fires rockets from a roof of a school and then Israel fires back to destroy those rocket launchers, Hamas can blame the destruction of the school on Israel. Hamas Math. Building a network of terror tunnels 350 miles long instead of a single safe room in Gaza so that you can get away with terror while blaming Israel for not protecting civilians. Hamas Math. If Israel sends in 300,000 tons of aid to Gaza, but Hamas steals it for themselves and sells it back to Palestinians while price gouging them, they can accuse Israel of creating famine. Hamas Math.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Hamas maths. And no matter what the murderous Islamists do, the people committed to the destruction of Israel and the elimination of the Jews, no matter what they do, it's always Israel that is to blame. And as you know, our own taxpayer-funded ABC fits neatly into this narrative, running the so-called pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel lines year after year. And check out how one former ABC Middle East correspondent has just turned up last week as a Greens politician in Western Australia.
4 Greens MPs arrive with more on their mind than just climate action. Newly elected Sophie McNeil wearing a keffiyeh in support of Palestine.
Why would there be a concern? I mean, you know...
Is it just a scarf or is it a political statement?
This is a statement that I'm standing with the people of Gaza.
Ms McNeil is a former Middle East correspondent.
Sophie McNeil, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Yes, we're using our position of privilege, of power, to say that we stand against this genocide.
Ms McNeil's political protest passed without comment when she wore the scarf during question time.
Yeah, 1 minute a supposedly objective ABC Middle East reporter, then a political activist, and next a Greens MP campaigning against Israel on the absurd and jaundiced grounds of genocide. It's not our ABC, it's not your ABC, it's their ABC.